guys, so today I'm reviewing The Walking Dead Season 4. So this is a pretty good season, I'd say. Well, the first half I really enjoyed. The second half was a bit all over the place, but I'd say it ended well, and the way how we go into Season 5, with where we leave off with Season 4 is pretty cool. And it sets up people's, favourite season, like the fan favourite season, which will be my next review. But yeah, we're talking about Season 4 right now. So it kind of basically continues from where Season 3 left off, where Andrea died because they tried to rescue her, but they kind of failed to save her in time. Woodbury falls, so the governor has to retreat with whoever he has left at that point. But then we kind of find out later on what actually happens with the governor and how he just ends up alone and then finds like a new group and stuff. But yeah, also, when does the stuff with Cal happen? Was it in this season or was it Season 3? I think it was this season. Yeah, because Cal gets kicked out of the group because of what she. Oh yeah, it's this season. So yeah, because basically there's some kind of illness going around, and it basically spreads across the whole prison, and a lot of our survivors start to get ill. Like Glenn, for example. Herschel, he just wants to try help him, but Maggie's worried like if he tries to help, he might catch it as well. And since he's older, he might not survive it. I mean, it seems like no one's gonna survive this if they don't find a solution anyway. So, but Herschel wants to be able to help him, and he has that epic speech about, about fighting and stuff and what you're fighting for, of taking risk and stuff. Yeah, such a classic quote. Yeah, Herschel's just one of those characters that was, the voice. Like, he always had proper reasons, and he kind of put the characters back on their foot, with Rick, because Rick was so broken after he lost Laurie. I mean, he even had a baby, and he just wasn't really paying attention to it or Cal. Like, everyone else had to look after it, and then Herschel just says, "Get back here," and then just convinces him to actually step up and actually be with your family that are actually still alive, because basically his wife gave her life so Judith could be born, and he's not even there to look after the baby. I mean, he just went to go kill the walker that ate his wife, and then he has hallucinations with the phone and everything. Yeah, which they're the kind of the things that I guess they still use in the comic, but I just don't know. It was a bit more unique because you basically hear the voices of deceased characters, because he's just losing it. Yeah, but basically Herschel helps him, recover and stuff, and that's why Herschel's just such a great character. And it kind of sucks what happens to him in this season, which I'll get to by the end of the review. Yeah. As for Michonne, I guess people start to accept her into the group. I mean, she's not fully trusting of him, but she kind of grows on the group, and especially another episode I didn't even mention in Season 3. Clear, it's probably still one of my favourite episodes of the whole show, Clear, with Morgan. I barely even talked about it in Season 3. I don't know why. Because that's when Jeffrey D. Morgan, not Jeffrey D. Morgan, what am I talking about? Lenny James' character Morgan, comes back, and you just see that he's basically crazy. He lost his son, and, he was just completely lost. And when we go to Season 5, someone actually helps him recover, and we'll get to see him again and actually join the group and stuff. Yeah, by the time we go into Season 6. But yeah, just all that stuff, and also foreshadowing certain stuff as well. It was pretty cool. Yeah. But yeah, back to this season with the illness and stuff. Yeah, that was kind of the main story they wanted to use. And we also get one of the first actors from Everybody Hates Chris in this show, because we'll get another one in Season 5 as well. But the one who plays as Chris's best friend, is it Craig? Yeah, he's only in one episode, because they introduce all these kids who Cal has to look after. But then the Everybody Hates Chris one, Craig gets he's basically the one where it seems like he is the one who starts the virus, because he was the one who was feeling sick at first, and then it just started to pass on to everyone, and then we don't really find out where it actually came from until later on, before the governor returns with a flipping tank. Yeah, because he wants revenge for losing Woodbury. Yeah. And man, the governor was just crazy in season 3 anyway. Like when he mows down like just about nearly all of his people, like my god. So when Rick actually attacks, like he hasn't really got a lot of defense because he just mowed down a lot of them. Alright, so I want to talk about Kao anyway because she's the one who has like the biggest evolution in the whole show. I mean, it's arguable, but from how she started as someone who was just innocent and didn't want to harm anything, not even walkers, to the badass she becomes. I mean, the transition though, because season 4, you kind of see a more darker side to Kao because she lost her daughter in season 2, which was, man, probably one of the most heartbreaking moments in the whole show. And she just doesn't know what to do about her life, like if she should continue living on, because I mean, not even her daughter didn't even die in the comic and she still went crazy, but in this she just went a more darker path. I mean, eventually she kind of comes around and she becomes like one of the best survivors in the whole show. Like she can take out nearly anyone. Yeah, the fire starter. Because what she does in this is basically she kind of sees the threat of that illness, and then what she decides to do is find who possibly was the first to have it and basically kill them. It was like Karen and David, and I think Karen was with Tyrese, so he wanted to find out who was behind this, and he was getting angry and stuff, to the point where he's fighting Rick, and Rick just, I guess, destroys him, which to me, it doesn't make sense to me, in my opinion. And you just seeing Tyrese go crazy as well, like killing a bunch of walkers like in the comic, but it was more epic because he was locked inside of a room with a bunch of walkers and he kills them all. I mean, it's still cool how to do it in the TV show, but the comic, oh my god, he massacred that entire room, man. Like, it was a basketball court or something, and it was like a bunch of walkers in there and he killed them all with a hammer. Hammer time, yeah. Those memes with Tyrese, yeah. And we don't really get any conflict between Tyrese and Carol until after the governor stuff, because I guess the first half is about mainly the governor, him wanting to get revenge. And I'm just gonna finish up with Carol, with her storyline in this season, because she's not really around when the governor attacks. So basically, there's this father who has kids, and he basically dies from the illness, and basically Carol makes a promise to protect him no matter what. So maybe that's why she fought to kill Karen and David, because she didn't want any of those kids to die who she's supposed to protect. Yeah. But was it Lizzie who was the crazy one, because she's the one who ended up being crazy? So instead of Carol, it's kind of, I guess, that little girl Lizzie. And Mika, she's just the one who shows how flawed her sister is, saying she's dumb and stuff, and she's not all there, which is just funny. But yeah, Carol does care about both of them anyway, and she just wants them to survive and become good survivors. Yeah. With Carl, I guess there's not really much I could say about Carl. I mean, to be honest, I wouldn't say I was a huge fan of Carl. He's an okay character. He's not as good as his comic book counterpart. Like, he grew up way fast in the comic, like to the point where he was more badass than a lot of the characters in the TV show. Man. And when when Negan meets him, he's just so impressed. Like, it just makes way more sense compared to the TV show version, where I can't really take him seriously. Yeah, it felt forced. Where if that was Judith instead, man, that to me that would have worked so well. Yeah, I mean but we'll get to those points in like season 7, 8, 9 with those characters anyway. So yeah, we're not really talking about them. It's mainly about Carol and basically what she has to do when they get separated. Because Carol basically when Rick finds out, when they find this group, one of them is basically the Penguin actor from Gotham. Like, I think this was his first acting role. I'm not sure, but maybe one of his first. Because before he was in Gotham, he was in this show, in season 4 and 5, I guess. Yeah. And it's just funny what happens to him in season 5, man. Damn. What introduction to the Terminus people. Yeah. But we'll get to that in season 5. But yeah, basically from there, where they're trying to help these people, but they ended up, getting. Well, I guess the wife? They see her that she's dead, but they can't find her husband. Like, he's just vanished. And then Carol Rick kind of figures it out that it was Carol who killed Karen and David, and because of that, like, Rick basically banishes her, and she has to leave the group. Yeah. I mean, he's not happy about that, but he probably felt like it was the right thing to do, especially with how Tyrese is acting. And imagine if Tyrese found out, like, who knows what would have happened if she actually stayed. Yeah. I mean, when things got really bad, maybe he just didn't want anyone else to die at that point, and that's why he was able to hold it together. And that's like after the governor stuff, when they actually, unite and stuff. And let's just say Lizzie just goes even crazier, when she's out in the woods to the point where she kills her sister. And yeah, she just goes so crazy that, Carl has to pull out a gun and say, "Look at the flowers." Yeah, that classic line. Oh, yeah, that scene, man. Because it's so dark. And then straight afterwards, that's when she reveals that she killed Karen and David, and Tyrese isn't really happy. You can see it, but he just says, "I forgive you." Like, it takes him like a whole minute, but you can see how mad he is. But he just gets to the point where he's just like, "I forgive you." And that's a good character moment from Tyrese, I guess. And I guess we'll end things off with talking about the governor and what happens with him, and then I guess how the season ends off with what they set up with the Terminus people in season 5. So yeah, let's talk about the governor. So basically, at the end of season 3, like, he loses everything, man, and the rest of his people just retreat with Martinez, and some of the people, go to like Rick's group, like the prison, and Karen and David was a part of that prison, and that everybody hates Chris guy. So yeah, so he's kind of left with no one, and he grows a beard and everything. Yeah, looks like a pirate. And then he basically meets these people who I guess need help, or I can't remember if they decided to help him. Basically, Lily, if you know that person from like the Telltale game or the comic. I mean, they're basically the same character when it comes to the comic and the Telltale game, but in the TV show version, I guess they're mainly good. Yeah, because they don't really do anything like as bad as they did in the comic. With if you've read the comic or played the games, you know what kind of character Lily is there. But in this, I guess you could say she's more the innocent one, and she's basically just being used by the governor. I mean, she did get used by the governor in the comic, but if you've played the Telltale game, you already knew she wasn't really a good person anyway. So yeah. But in this, I'd say she is a good person, and she has like a family to take care of that are not assholes like Larry in the Telltale game. Yeah, like her sister Tara, which becomes someone who I like more than Glenn. They're just one of those characters who, are just lovable characters to me. I know some people don't like Tara, but I was a big fan of her. Then there's like the little sister, who I guess the governor kind of views as like his daughter in a way. Yeah, like he's getting a second chance. And then there's oh wait, I finished off with my camera. Give me a second. Yeah, it's messed up right now. I hate when it does that. So yeah, just give me a second. Yeah, I think the camera's messed up, so I might have to... Oh wait, is it back? Yeah. Yeah, for a second it keeps going on and off. Maybe it's not plugged in properly, but whatever. But yeah, so yeah, the governor feels like he could have a new start with these people and maybe become like a good guy. And maybe they could pull it in a different direction where he eventually, does become like an anti-hero. But, from after you watch that episode, like, you can tell that he has a completely different plan. Because when he finds Martinez and them, and he groups with them, he basically takes over the group, kills Martinez, creates a whole army, and basically marches to, Wick's group to take him on. And which we'll get to, I guess, the final moments of, I guess, the first half. Oops, I took my camera off. The Too Far Gone times. Oh my god. This is probably still one of the best episodes of the whole show. For some people, it is the best episode. Because it's just a small battle, but the way how they did it was so good. Instead of like a huge war, which just went on for way too long. Like, just having a small battle that felt big, and it didn't feel like it went on for too long, and all the big moments happened in this episode. I'd say they did a good job, but it's just in the comic they did it so much better. But still, in the TV show, like, I still have to say they did a really good job. It's still in my top 10 episodes. For the longest time, it was my favorite episode until season 6. Like, with those episodes, like, damn. And yeah, we'll get to that anyway because that's my favorite season. But yeah, this is still in my top 10 anyway, definitely. What a way to finish off the governor storyline. Even though I kind of wish it was done just a bit better, but still. Looking back now, it definitely holds up well. So yeah, when Wick gets a chance to talk to the governor, he basically decides to, I guess, follow Herschel's, basically guidance, because it was Herschel that was kind of, putting Rick in a more true good guy light to, do the right thing. So Rick basically decides to, instead of fighting the governor, he decides to let everyone else that's on the governor's side to join the group, possibly including the governor too. So no one has to die, basically, because we're not too far gone. Just that classic quote, man, like just the way how Rick says it, man. And then you just see Herschel smile, but then the governor, he goes liar, and then just slits flipping Herschel's throat, man. And I'm just like, damn. And you just see Mikey's reaction and Beth's, and oh man, then Rick just goes no, and they just start shooting, and it just goes crazy, man. A lot of people start dying. But in the comic, it was a lot worse, because you'd actually see a lot more, deaths on Rick's side, where you managed to see deaths on I guess the governor's side. But I guess you could say like some of the red shirt characters from who used to be with the governor, who joined Rick, probably also died as well. Like they possibly all died, yeah. If not most of them, yeah. But Rick's groups, they basically escape, I guess. Well, Beth, she kind of ends up in a situation where, yeah, she's with Daryl, but when they get to like this area, like Beth gets kidnapped, which that's like a storyline for season 5, and Daryl's just trying to find her, but then he kind of runs into this biker group. I don't know what to call them again. Is it the Claimers? Yeah, he ends up with them, which Rick and Carl basically, I guess they're the ones who end up together after what happens with the governor, because I guess when he's fighting the governor, he nearly gets killed by the governor, but luckily Michonne saves him and stabs the governor. And basically the governor would have bled out if Lily didn't finish him off, because Lily gets the final shot, just like in the comic. Yeah. Because she kind of realized that, the governor literally has no humanity at that point, when he basically sees the little girl who, I guess she gets bit in a previous episode, and instead of like showing like any remorse, he just instantly shoots her. like he doesn't even care. And you just see him just continuing trying to kill everyone. So in that moment, she kind of realized that the governor isn't worth saving, even though they could have had a thing together as well, which they didn't really go that far in the comic. Yeah, they definitely went in a different direction in the comic. I mean the TV show. Sorry. As for Tara, it seems like she's gonna die, and I think Tara says that her sister also dies after, killing the governor. Like she gets surrounded by walkers, and she was gonna be next, but then Glenn saves her, and that's when Glenn and Tara run into the GOAT characters. Well, Abraham and Rosita, because I'm not really a big fan of Eugene, especially what he does in season 5. But yeah, I'm not sure if some of that stuff's in season 4, but is it? Yeah, I think when he purposely crashes that bus or whatever they was driving, because he tried to kill them all, because he wanted all of them to die, because Washington DC's like a whole lie and stuff. Yeah. And when he reveals that, like, Abraham just knocks him out. And also with Maggie, I can't remember where she ends up, but basically Glenn's trying to find Maggie, and Tara's trying to help Glenn find Maggie, because Glenn saved Tara's life. So she kind of owes him, so she kind of helps find Maggie, and when they reunite, it's a nice moment. Because you slowly start to see all the characters reunite, but then they get captured by Terminus. When it comes to the Claimers, oh yeah, with them. Because basically, I think, because Michonne eventually finds Rick and them, and they have like some nice moments together. Seeing Carl eat that whatever the hell he's eating, that ice cream or whatever. Just all them scenes when they're walking on the train tracks and stuff. Yeah, they're nice moments. But then they eventually run into the Claimers, who Dell's with. Because basically Rick runs into one of them where he's hiding like one of their houses, and he sees them basically kill someone, and he knows they're not really good people to be around. And later on, they basically get surrounded by the Claimers, and they try to kill Rick and rape Carl and Michonne. But luckily Daryl is actually on the Claimers side, and because the Claimers don't really know that Daryl was on their side, so he kind of gets like the drop on him, and that's when you see like the one of like Rick's best moments where he bites the hell off the guy who tried to whip Carl. And you just see Carl with that death stare. Like, oh my god, that's where you just see like the savage Rick. The savage Rick is born. Really becomes more like Shane. I mean, Shane would be proud if he saw that. Yeah, if they actually got on, man. Damn, that was a cool moment. Yeah. Then they just try to find a safe haven, which everyone who's still alive just goes to Terminus. Beth, like she's ended up with a different group, so we don't really see what happens to her until season 5. Yep. And then when they get to Terminus, it seems like a good place, but then they basically all get tricked because they're basically cannibals. And yeah, I guess I'll talk about that season in the next one, I guess. I just don't know if I left anything out because the way Hal was talking, I might have skipped some stuff. I'm just trying to think, like, did I miss anything? Well, if I did, I guess we can talk about it in the comments below. But yeah, I guess I'm kind of wrapping up this season anyway, because this is going to be a long video when I'm editing it, and my camera is, was messing around. So when I record season 5, I don't know if I'll be able to use my camera. But I'll try to go through that season quicker. I mean, I know that's people's fan favorite season, but yeah, if I can't use my camera, I can't really fully express myself. But as long as I can talk, I guess that's all that matters. But yeah, I guess I'll end the review here. Hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you in the next one. Appreciate if you can leave a like, and peace.